Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
New champions, impressive debuts, drama, retirements, legends fading off into the distance. UFC 283 had just about everything that you could ask for. Upsets, everything, folks. I cannot explain it enough. We're going to break it down in great detail in just one moment, but breaking it down with me, as always, is the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber himself, AJ, brother, my man. We really did see a phenomenal display of heart, of grit, of determination. But my question to you immediately off the bat, man, is this the new generation of champions, man? Has the new era been ushered in? Is the old guard on their way out? What do you think, brother?
Derek, there was one big mistake that I had on the pre-show, folks, and I got to apologize because Jamahal Hill brought the fire, brother. Right. This is the new generation coming in, and I said you can't outclass Glover Teixeira. Boy, was I wrong, because Jamahal Hill put on a master class and was in the fight from the jump, bro. I loved it. This seems to be what's going to be happening in every single weight class coming forward, man, and the old folks better get ready. Sure, the Andre Arlovskis and the other old dogs still might be there, but it seems like a lot of them are out to pasture. I don't know, Derek, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, I was actually just looking at a list recently of all the current champions right now, and believe it or not, the two oldest champions in the entire roster, right, now that we've had some vacancies and all that good stuff, their age together, it's 34 years old, right? If you had to guess the two fighters who are the oldest champions in the UFC right now, just real quick off the cuff, who would you imagine?
Shevchenko, Nunes.
Shevchenko, Volkanovski. And then Nunes is right there as a close second runner right there, man. So that made me think, okay, well, now it seems like the UFC is kind of trying to do whatever they can to find Shevchenko a real contender that can usurp her for the title, right? We got Alexa Grasso up next, all that good stuff. Jamahal Hill and Yuri are going to be battling it out now. Listen, man, this is a fun time. And then in the heavyweights, man, who's going to be the next heavyweight champion? If it's John Jones, then the age spectrum is going to get pushed out. But that's heavyweight. That's what we do. Anyways, folks, the point is UFC 283 was phenomenal, man. Jamahal Hill, he did the impeccable. And right off the bat, man, really quickly, let's just take a moment to kind of honor this, man. Jamahal Hill is not your everyday average fighter, you know what I mean? This is a dude who, at the end of the day, really, you could see it in the post-fight show when he was awarded the championship belt. This is different. This dude is from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Like, this is kind of like a Floyd Mayweather-esque story coming out of, like, you see him do certain things on his social media, and you're like, this dude from the hood. For real, you know what I'm saying? So to come full circle, say I had to work for everything, I had to work for this opportunity. My question to you is, one, yeah, we're going to honor that, but at the same time, do you think that his whole story is going to be cut short a little bit with Yuri saying, congratulations, I'm coming, let's go, baby. This man chilling in Asgard, ready to come back and get the belt. I mean, what you think, bro?
I think we're in store for a hell of a storyline. It seems to me the UFC kind of kept Jamahal Hill and Yuri away, because Jamahal Hill's been calling for Yuri since Yuri jumped into the UFC. Yeah. So if there's anybody that isn't scared of that fight, it's Sweet Dreams Hill. And now he has the belt. Yuri's coming back. I think we're in store for a crazy storyline.
Yes, sir. My
personal belief, I think Yuri might get it on him, but we saw a different kind of animal in Jamahal Hill. And I saw it come out when he was talking in the pre-shows about, do I deserve it enough? Am I good enough? Anytime somebody has that question for themselves, about themselves, they usually step up to the plate. Right. And it was interesting to see that. So I'm excited for the Yuri fight, man. This is going to be a hell of a thing. We'll see how the shoulder, the wrist, whatever Yuri's having to deal with. Shoulder. We'll see how he comes back. And yeah, man, I'm excited. Are you as excited as I am for this one?
I'm very excited. This is the most, heat that we've had in this division since John Jones DC trading back and forth. So, listen, lots to talk about, folks. We're going to talk about all of that in depth in 1 second. I did want to introduce, we do have a new addition to our introductory segment of the show, right? We have a little incentive. We want to let you guys know. You see our total scores. And speaking of that, for those who are just listening, 7-3 on the year. My man AJ 6-4. So we're neck and neck right here. But we do have a winner of the week graphic that we are presenting now. So for the lovely folks who are tuning in right now, this is where you got it right here. Victory lap aside, right? I got the dub on the week. That's fine, but it was close. Me and you, AJ, man, we were one pick apart. Literally, it was just one wrong move, and this is what happens. So we just want to give you a little something that you can follow along with, and this only helps if you've done the right thing and you've subscribed to the channel, right? So I'm going to ask you, if you haven't subscribed yet, you should do it now. Yeah, you should do it right now. So, all right, folks, with that being said, man, that was quick. That was to the point. All that good stuff. Let's talk about some prop recaps, bet sheet recaps, all that fun stuff. So we get straight into it, man. Pretty solid looking night overall for both of us, AJ. I'm going to take this down right here so we could talk about it a little more in depth. But the key thing that I want to focus on right here is championship fights, man. We both took a risk and one of us came short on both fights, right? So for me, I'm thinking, you're in Brazil. Deiveson Figueiredo, probably last fight before he goes up to 135. No way he's gonna lose this. No way he's gonna leave the division on that note. Well, he did leave the division on that note, and the assassin baby is legitimate, undisputed. That was beautiful, man. As soon as the fight started, did you already have all the confidence in the world for Moreno? You know what I mean? Or is it something that grew for you?
No, man. Right from the jump, Moreno looked good, man. He looked focused. He was in there. He was moving. He was spry. And what I kind of noticed, he started getting away from the elbows in, hands out to a more traditional kind of style, but he still had this constant movement. Even my girl pointed it out, man. He's like, man, he's constantly moving. And Moreno is. The same thing with Figgy, too, though. This was a great fight. And unfortunately, it ends in an eye injury and, kind of like a sour term, if you will. Because this was, in my eyes, an amazing performance. And that's how fights go. Sometimes you get punched in the eye and it closes and you can't see. And that's what it is. That's a loss on a fight. It's rough that the Brazilian crowd, it feels a little bit more passionate about that. But nothing taken away from Moreno or Figueiredo in this win or this loss. Either way, man, I think this was a hell of a way to end the quadrilogy. And I'm happy I finally nailed that word too. But this is an interesting one to see because you're right. You're not going to get Deiveson Figueiredo back at 100. He's going up. He even said himself, he's going up. I thought he was going to retire, and even DC thought he was going to retire. It seemed a little weird. But from the jump, man, this seemed to play as we were going about it from the pre-show.
Yes, sir.
Did you get a building of things, or would you fall a little bit in grace, Derek? What do you think?
I thought from the jump, man, Moreno looked like he was in full control, man. As soon as I saw the weigh-ins and the face-offs and stuff like that, and Moreno was just cool, calm, collected, and Figgy was trying to get in his head and couldn't, I was like, this is going to be a problem. Either way, bookmark this. We're going to talk about that more in a second. Teixeira, Hill, obviously, right? You went for the old guard. I went for the new generation. It did end up being a beatdown, but it was kind of closer than that. Not really, honestly. But either way, man, impressive. Glover Teixeira calls it quits. He retires. We'll talk about all that in 1 second. But ultimately, this is what we're talking about right here. We look at the first three picks. Burns, Andrade. We both hit on those ones. Johnny Walker, Paul Craig. I hate to say I told you so here, AJ, but this is one of those spots where it was just like, as soon as it happened, I was like, this is exactly what I envisioned. You shoot in, you try to get in on Johnny Walker, and his power is just too much. You know what I mean? So let's leave any long takes for the breakdown show, right? That segment. But at the end of the day, are you happy with your performance in hindsight?
Yes, I am, Derek. Even though I lost the week this week, it was one very close fight, which I'm happy to see that one actually go the other way for Jamahal Hill. Johnny Walker, it was an oversight. The second I saw Johnny Walker stay calm and patient and reading things, I knew it was over.
Yeah, understood. All right, man. Now this is something that we need to address. This is serious. This is constructive criticism time. Rough night at the office for the prop bets, man. I hit on one of them, right? The Walker TKO, and that was almost guaranteed money right there at -135. Everything else, it was just rough, man. Andrade TKO. Who would have thought Lauren Murphy could withstand a beatdown the way that she did? And I mean, she took it. Same thing for Glover Teixeira. Those are two TKO props I felt I was robbed of just because the other fighter was too tough. We will say, if we're talking about the Moreno submission, I mean, Moreno was actually closer to getting submitted than actually submitting Figueiredo. But either way, the point is, man, we're gonna take this, we're going to register it in the database, and we're going to move on. But this is 2023, brother, and we can't be having these types of performances. So talk to me. How are we gonna fix this?
I think the roughest part about the whole prop breakdown for me, Derek, go look at that Gilbert Burns, Neil Magny fight, and we still got it wrong because we both picked one of us decision, the other one was a knockout, ends up being a submission. That's how hard prop bets actually are because the fights can go down in so many ways. But man, like you said, man, this 2023, we got to leave this thing in the past. We got to get better than we are definitely going to. Got to brainstorm some ways on how. But it seems like, man, the prop bets are a rough one to really get going, folks.
That's right. But we take accountability for it, and we're going to acknowledge it, and we're going to move on. So, AJ, talk to the people. Yes, sir.
If you got any criticism, constructive or otherwise, let us know in the comments. How are y'all doing on prop bets? Is there somebody out there that's actually nailing these? Because we're getting a little help in the comments. No shame in my game over here. Let us know what you think.
100%. Now, of course, when it comes down to the money lines and purely picking fights, we got you covered there. But, this is a growing grassroots platform, and we're trying to get better. Subscribe to the show if you haven't yet. Hit us up on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter, Instagram, just about the whole entire gambit. But with that being said, it's time to talk about some legitimate fight. Let's get it.
Have you seen that replay, buddy? Your head was bouncing around like a pinball machine.
Time for some main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
I have to let you know, AJ, that I think that Jamahal Hill's performance here not only was incredible, you win the championship and all of that good stuff, but it was more incredible because he was able to do something to a Glover Teixeira that not a lot of people have been able to do. And that is effectively dissect his game mid-fight and make an adjustment that Glover Teixeira could not adjust to. And that adjustment, AJ, that I'm talking about is Jamahal Hill in the orthodox stance, popping out that jab, popping out that jab, popping out that jab, popping out that straight cross behind. And noticing Glover Teixeira likes to parry, cross body, parry, cross body, right? Roll with the punches. He talked about it a lot. I'm old. I got to roll with the punches. So what does Jamahal Hill do? Oh, I'll switch to southpaw. I poke that hand out for you right there. You cross body. Well, guess what? The other side of your face is open. Left shin to the dome. Over and over and over again. What's more impressive, Jamahal Hill's fight IQ or Glover Teixeira's ability simply to just take baseball bats to the head over and over again and seemingly not flinch? I mean, what do you think?
It has to be the Glover eating baseball bats to the head, because you're right, Derick. It was a masterful read by Jamahal Hill, being able to see. The second he went southpaw, Glover didn't even notice the feet switch. That's the craziest thing about it. Is Jamahal Hill was playing chess, while Glover seemed to be playing checkers, and Jamahal would switch to that southpaw stance and throw that left high kick with no remorse, no even anything coming back at him besides Glover trying to block it with one hand and eating it, man. Very impressive that Glover can take that much punishment, because it looked, like you said, Derick, it looked like you were robbed of a TKO win on this one.
I felt like it. But that's the other thing too, man, is that you also got to just feel bad for Glover Teixeira simply because this is round 5. He's coming into it. Both eyebrows are just disgustingly shattered, blood all over his face. And he's looking across the cage to Jamahal Hill and he's saying, come on, bro, what's up? Let's go, right? And you got to think Jamahal Hill for a split moment has to be like, that's a moment that could break you. That could legitimately break you. Like, what do I have to do to get this dude out of here? But you saw that inner dog come out in Jamahal Hill that said, oh, what's up then, bro? Let's get it. You know what I mean? Round 5. Like, I'm not taking my foot off the gas. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't gonna punk me. And like, that's the spirit that I'm talking about in a champion that you want. Now, can you always fall back to that method? No, because that's what people are gonna bait you. Teixeira, like 15 seconds left. He's like, come on, bro. Let's like walk into one of these shots so I could just, crack you right here. And maybe pull off one of those Yuri type wins. Maybe he was looking for one of those last ditch efforts. But overall, through and through, impressive performance for Jamahal Hill. Talk to me about his ground game, man. I'm curious just from like a perspective of a generalist, right? Jamahal Hill was not thought to have a fantastic ground game, yet alone one that can withstand the technique of Glover Teixeira. Anthony Smith couldn't withstand that. Jan Blachowicz couldn't withstand that. Both of those dudes are credentialed jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, what did you make of Hill's performance?
Bro, it was a come out display for Hill on this one, because he proved that he can do things against Glover Teixeira that not a lot of other people could. And we weren't on the ground so much, that we were just blown away with what Jamahal Hill was doing. But at the same point, in the times when he was a step ahead, man. He was looking good. He was reading things. And what I was impressed by, bro, he was also able to stay away. Whenever Glover would try to come in close, he shoot the hips out, get away, push, whatever you need to do. He was getting out and hitting the correct angles. And like I said, man, looking like he was doing it a step ahead. Always very impressive.
I was uber impressed, man. Every time Glover Teixeira went for that high crotch takedown, Jamahal Hill was able to get out the way, use his athleticism to avoid that takedown. And look at Ihor Potieria. Glover got in on a single, got in on a high crotch, and Yuri was over there rolling across the cage, getting taken down, smushed, right? Jamahal Hill, he would used his guard to get back to his feet against a Glover Teixeira, man. I can't say how impressive that is. Nobody else is able to do that. But then again, This is. I know I'm full of questions here today, AJ, but this is another part in why I picked Jamahal Hill. I felt like this was the perfect timing, universal timing, right? You get the 43-year-old Glover who just had a war against Ihor Potieria, who lost a fight where he shouldn't, who feels a little bit of juice to get motivated. You're in Brazil, all that. But at the end of the day, there's a 13-year gap in age between you two. One dude is simply more athletic. One dude is simply just got more dog in him. Clearly, Glover Teixeira had the most dog in him throughout anybody on the night. But the point is, do you think that if Glover Teixeira 5-6 years ago fought this fight, it would be a different outcome? You know what I mean? Or do you think that this was the perfect crossroads in terms of timing?
No, I think this was the perfect crossroads, but the weird thing is Glover Teixeira 5 years ago isn't the same kind of dog he is right now, which is the weird part, because this is the best Glover we've seen. So it's almost even better that way for Jamahal Hill, because it really is a perfect crossroads of meeting. The fact that when Yuri came into the sport, Jamahal Hill was calling from him from day one, telling everybody that he's not scared of Ihor Potieria. He'll fight him right now in the streets if he needs to. And then Glover and Yuri have their whole mix 'em up. Now you get to take out the guy who was supposed to be the bad guy. It's a perfect setup, man. And it goes back to how the UFC kind of runs things. It seems like this kind of fell in their lap, but they had to play a little bit to get it. I like where this is going, man. I'm very excited to see how this path unfolds.
That's right. And then this is another example of a champion you want. Remember, Jamahal Hill also said, oh, yeah, that Alex Paeta guy, let him come up to light heavyweight, man. Let me introduce him to the big boys. And that's the thing, too. What does Glover say? And this is where we need to flip the switch, because all praise to Jamahal Hill, sweet dreams. First Dana White Contender Series alumni to actually win a championship, man, which is incredible, because that goes to show you didn't get this fast track, hot prospect immediately in the UFC. No, you had to work for a contract to get to the UFC. This is the point. Glover Teixeira then announces, he says, on the same night that Shogun retires, and we'll talk about that in a second, man. No storybook endings in MMA, but this is as close as you get to one right here. Glover Teixeira loses a Rocky Balboa-esque loss right here, right, where you lost, but you won, kind of, in the same vein. He then says, I'm too tough for my own good, probably. I should probably focus on Alex Paeta. He's going to have the belt for a while. I'm going to step back. I'm going to call it quits. But not only do that, AJ, not only walk into the sunset on your own accord, he then says, oh, yeah, I know Brazil. I love you guys, but you guys are vicious fans. And listen, y'all were throwing drinks and food and beer and all that stuff at Assassin Baby. You're not going to do that to Jamahal Hill, because we're going to be walking out together. To me, there's no other stamp you can put on your career as an elder statesman, as a man of character, principle, as just a man you want to aspire to be, a man that your children would be proud to look up to. You covered all bases. Glover Teixeira, this is the Glover show at this point. I mean, thoughts? What do you think?
I couldn't have said it any better, Derek. When Brandon Moreno won the fight, I was there with my girl, and I was telling her, this is going to be ugly. She's like, what do you mean? This is going to be ugly. Just wait. And sure enough, there you go. It's as ugly as me hitting my mic. You see them start throwing some stuff, and it was such a class act of Glover. He's the full encompassment of a Bushido warrior. Like, this dude literally, from the ground up, this is how you could tell he was raised on the streets of Brazil. And he even said it, like, I know you guys. Y'all are some savages, but you love me so much, you're not going to do it to me, and I'm walking out with him. It's kind of like a statement of sorts that you can cross bridges and mend and actually have friendships with other people and not have to, go back to the savagery of what we are as human beings, man. Great statement from Glover. Love seeing it in real time too. Very impressive, man.
And I'm gonna end on this note, and we'll move on to the next fight. I was actually watching the Rogan podcast, and Bilal Muhammad was on there, and he said that Glover, after all the situation stuff went down, basically told Bilal, like, hey man, don't trip. You're one of the nice guys like me, bro. Your time will come. Everything will come back around. And did it inevitably? Like, it didn't. It didn't for Glover. He got the belt, but it didn't come back to the good graces. But at the end of the day, just having that mentality of like, listen, man, we're the good guys. If it doesn't come right now, it'll come one day. And even if if Glover's future victories don't come in the form of his own championships, but in Alex Paeta's championships or his team's championships or whatever, or the impact that he made on his community, I can't speak highly enough, man. That stuff gets me emotional. That gets me going, is people of high character. Like, I love to see that. Glover Teixeira, happy retirement, you know what I'm saying? But welcome to the new era of champions. Sweet dreams, Jamahal Hill. It's going to be tough to take the belt off that man's waist, I'll tell you that much. With that being said, let's talk about it, brother. We have a unified champion in the Assassin Baby, Brandon Moreno. And at this point, man, 4 fights deep. We've never seen it before. The 4th fight was very anticlimactic, and that's where I wanted to put a bookmark earlier. You had noted earlier, AJ, and I'm going to let you defend yourself here because I got some words for you. You said, hey, listen, this was a great fight. This was an amazing ending to their quadrilogy, right? This is how the chapter should have ended and all that good stuff. But through and through, it was a good performance between both competitors. Now, I don't believe that, and I'm going to push back on that. But please, if you want to take the moments to defend your statement, please do.
Well, man, I mean, straight up, I think it was a good fight. Was it the best performance of Figueiredo? Not necessarily. You could tell he was a little struggling with the weight loss or the weight cut, and things were a little slower for him, if you will. He didn't necessarily have that kind of crack and that power. But at a fourth fight, both people know what everybody's going to do. You know, there's no surprises. There's no anything like that. So going into that kind of thing, I thought it was a good scrap. Did it go to the fifth round slobber knocker? No, not really. But I guess I'm a little more biased because my guy won. Maybe that's why I think it was such a good fight. I don't know.
I thought it was a good performance by Moreno for sure, man. Yeah, I thought Figgy came out flat the whole fight. That was my take, is that it felt like Figueiredo was defeated before the fight took place. He comes in there, he does his thing, you know, shot Brazil, all that good stuff. We're fighting at home. And he's very grounded in that Muay Thai stand-up stance, right? But the one thing that I noticed is that Brandon Moreno's speed annihilated this man. He was scared to do anything. He was scared to counter. He was scared to really engage. He wouldn't throw his right hand. Literally his number one weapon, he wouldn't throw, because every time he'd throw it, Moreno would pop him with a couple shots. What was it? 15 seconds into the match, Moreno goes in and takes him down immediately. So Moreno out here looking like a D1 wrestler, right, against Deiveson Figueiredo. The best moment of the fight in Figueiredo's side of things was when he jumped a guillotine. And he didn't really even have the guillotine. So that's the tough part. So that's where I say I thought Brandon Moreno looked to me like he just simply outclassed Deiveson Figueiredo physically, mentally, in all aspects. You ran the man out of the division more or less, right? Because you'd have to imagine Figueiredo might have different thoughts if he would have won the belt, right? If he would have defended his title, maybe there's a couple other things to entertain. Listen, Figueiredo did just about everything you could do in the flyweight division in terms of accolades. But Brandon Moreno has his number, officially 2-1-1 in the quadrilogy. And I'll just say this looked like when it just felt like Brandon Moreno simply just had Figueiredo figured out. It did not look like a challenging fight whatsoever, and it was anticlimactic where you end with the thumb knuckle in the eyeball. But I'll tell you what, man, there's no eye poke I've ever seen that has shattered somebody's orbital, and it looked like that's what happened to Figueiredo, so I'll just say that. Now, given my perspective on it, do you kind of understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, and I completely understand where you're coming at. Did Figgy have his best performance ever? No. Was Moreno in danger at some points? Yeah. In the most danger he's ever been? No. So I can see what you're coming from. Like I said, I guess maybe because I'm a little jaded or biased that I thought it was a good fight, good performance because my guy won. Could be that going into it. And I do think we're going to see a lot better of a performance from Figueiredo at 135, maybe even 145. This dude might need to jump up 2 weight classes because this dude is big. And how much of it do you think went into that? Do you think a lot of his performance was him having to cut 20, 30 pounds, get down to it? Or is this all just you're tired of having to fight the same guy over and over again? And it's in hometown. So, Figgy's probably not the best at separating or blocking out the hometown chaos, because a lot of fighters have said, man, the hometown advantage is not a hometown advantage. You got all the people hitting you up, and it's in Brazil too, so you got family, you got the whole favela hitting you up for stuff, trying to take pictures, X, Y, and Z. It's a lot. So I think the mental of that, along with the weight cut, did a lot, so we'll see how he performs better at a weight class higher. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd imagine that he'd perform a lot better when he's filled out, when he's not drained himself. Like, that's the fight. I feel like that's the fight for him. It's the weight cut. It's not even the fight, man. You have to cut that much weight. Very similar. We'll talk about it in a moment, but Cody Stamen, he had noticed. He was like, yeah, bro, I got to Brazil and had to cut 22 pounds. He was like, after that, I was begging to fight. He was all like, there's nothing harder than that weight cut, man. The fight was easy at that point. I feel like that's the same thing for Figueiredo. So yeah, move him up to 135. I think we'll see more success, but also the ability for Moreno to take him down at will like that, you're going to have some problems at 135. So we're going to have to see, but I do think, honestly, you're probably really just tired of fighting the same guy over and over and over again. So listen, fantastic performance by the Assassin, baby. Now here's my question before we move on to the next bout. Clearly, there's one dude next, and that one dude already has a win over Moreno, and that's Alexandre Pantoja. A lot of people think that Pantoja should be the rightful champion who's just never gotten the opportunity. Clearly, they already have bad blood because of that backstage run-in they had as well, man. So a lot of this animosity going on, you can't not love Brandon Moreno. If you don't love Brandon Moreno, if you're not a fan of him, at least the personality, you're probably just a dog shit person. You know what I'm saying? However, fandom aside, can he hold on to this belt? Aside from fighting Figueiredo, fighting all the other guys, can he hold on to this belt?
Man, that Pantoja fight, and even the Kai Kara France fight that Brandon Moreno had where he won, it was still a challenge, man. And there's a lot of dudes in the 125 class that are going to be gunning for Moreno now too. And he's another one who's a good guy. You know, he's a good guy of the sport, so he's going to have a big target on his back coming forward, man. I'm excited for the for any fight that he has coming forward, but that Pantoja one with the kicks that Pantoja has is going to be a blast.
And jiu-jitsu on both sides, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. But you want to talk about jiu-jitsu, you want to talk about domination, we have to talk about Gilbert Burns, man. Listen, I told you I had to give respect to Neil Magny. I said Neil Magny is a dude who is not going to be easily finished. Yeah, there's been a couple guys who have been able to do it recently. We're talking about Shavkat Rakhmonov when he guillotined him, you know. Michael Chiesa didn't finish him, but he ragdolled him for 3 rounds real easy. But for Gilbert Burns to say, oh, yeah, let me just go back to my 80cc roots, pick you up, slam you, and then immediately go in and arm triangle choke you, that was bully display. That's some Carlson Gracie jiu-jitsu right there, baby. Now, not for Gilbert, right? But that's what we practice, is be the hammer, right? Be on top, stay heavy, and then, take advantage and get the choke. And he did it against Neil Magny. Now, the hard part I thought was going to get past the long limbs of Magny, and that was hard. But as soon as Gilbert was able to pass that leg, go on over the mount, and then finish the choke, it was a wrap, man. So Neil Magny, number 12, Haitian sensation, gets submitted. But this doesn't really do much for Gilbert Burns. However, he said, give me 1, 2, maybe 3 good finishes this year, and I should be back in position to fight for the title again. So is this the beginning of another Gilbert Burns title run?
I think so, man. This is a new hungry Gilbert, too. This is a Gilbert who has been overlooked and kind of suppressed a little bit, too, especially with the Hamzat stuff and all that. This is a big win for Gilbert because, like you said, man, he came back Dorino style. He put it to Neil Magny in a very decisive first-round finish, man. And it was a good fight, 4 minutes in, so it took a little bit to get Magny working, but Gilbert put it to him, man. And I don't know if it'll even be 3. I'm thinking 2 finishes, and kind of a lot of people are going to be climbing to see Dorino back at the top. Let's say he goes up against Colby, even second fight, first fight, puts him to sleep, goes up against another one, and Leon and them have already had their mix 'em up. Gilbert Burns puts to sleep Masvidal. You put to sleep 2 of the biggest names, Colby, Masvidal. Who else? You're kind of in the running. You have to fight for it. We'll see how the Hamza, Leon, Usman, that whole situation up top works out. But I'm thinking 2 or 3. I mean, I don't know. 3 sounds a little bit of a stretch to me, Derek. Do you think he needs any more than 2 fights, 2 knockouts to really solidify a championship run again?
It depends on if he's fighting up or fighting down, right? Because if he's fighting down, you need a couple more, right? Yeah, if you beat any one of Usman, Covington, Chimaev, or Bilal, of course, you're automatically next. But that's the question. He says Bilal doesn't want to fight him. Colby Covington, he's calling him out. Colby doesn't want to fight because of that pending lawsuit going on with Masvidal. Already lost to Chimaev, and he wants that rematch too. And then obviously Usman, you got knocked out by him. And then you got Leon. So, it's tough. It's a tough situation for Gilbert Burns, man. It feels like he's slightly on like the odd man out. But I do think, a couple good finishes, man, will be right back there. But this was a phenomenal victory. There's nothing more you can say about it. This was just pure domination. And all right, man. So, fun fact, right? Jessica Andrade, who we're about to talk about right now, a beat down on Lauren Murphy, man. We're talking about like how, you just like when you have people multiple times throughout the fight being like, why have they not stopped the fight yet? Same thing for the Hill fight, right? It's like pretty phenomenal. But when we take a look at the numbers, man, would you be surprised? Jamahal Hill, he actually it was like a historic night for him, right? This was a professional high in terms of the amount of significant strikes he landed, 232 significant strikes throughout 5 rounds, right? How surprised would you be if I told you that Jessica Andrade, he did beat Jessica Andrade in terms of significant strike count, but only by 1 strike. And he had 5 rounds to do it. She only had 3. She landed 231 significant strikes in 3 rounds, bro. I don't know if that's a record, but I feel like that's got to be up there. So is that surprising then that Andrade just, went nuclear on Lauren Murphy here?
That statement right there, Derek, no, that's not surprising. That Jessica Andrade went nuclear on Lauren Murphy. What's a little more surprising to me is that Lauren Murphy withstood, 231 significant strikes in 3 rounds?
Yep.
Jesus Christ, man. Lucky Lauren Murphy is a savage among savages that she could kind of take that ass whipping. Because I don't even know if I could from Jessica Andrade, to be completely honest, bro. She gets me a couple of those, I'm going night. So all credit to Lauren Murphy on this one, man, because as much of it was a beatdown, it still was a scrap. It was scrappy. Lauren Murphy was never gonna quit in that fight, which you gotta respect her for.
You absolutely have to respect her, but it's just a matter of Jessica Andrade looks like at this point, she could be a champion of 2 divisions. You know what I mean? Like, she's over there and she's walking you down, and she has a fantastic chin too, because she walks through some good shots. Lauren Murphy did tag her with a couple good shots. But this is the thing, man. Like, her power just translates too well, right? Strawweight, they cannot handle her. Flyweight, all right, maybe Murphy was able to withstand some, you know what I mean, those shots, but she was busted up in like 30 seconds into the fight, man. So this is really my question. Jessica Andrade, I feel like very slept on fighter. I want to remind you guys again that I've been holding this thing. It was on the wall for a while, but Jessica Andrade, she came in. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Yeah, she came in. This is, you can't see the fine print, submission specialist card. It's her wrapping up a guillotine in this card right here, right? She came in as that. But now she has the full package, man. She knocks your block off. She can do jiu-jitsu. I mean, Lauren Murphy was like 0 for 14 in takedowns or something like that, man. Like something ridiculous. Like she could stuff you takedowns. I just feel like Jessica Andrade is looked at as so one-dimensional when she can really do so many different things. What is her path to a championship in either division? She says she wants to fight Warrley again in strawweight to avenge that title loss that she has, and she wants to fight either Shevchenko or whoever's going to be the champion in this division. Clearly, after this win, she's pretty much top 5 in both divisions. So, I mean, where do we go? What's the path?
Yeah, because that's a hard question, too, because she's another fighter not a lot of people want to fight. They're going to have to fight her eventually, but nobody's clamoring, saying Jessica Andrade's name. Nobody's calling for Bate Azteca, which a little bit more of a compliment for Jessica Andrade, but it makes it harder to fight. He's kind of in that Bilal situation where nobody wants to fight you because you're a tough fight, but not an exciting fight. Because if you make Jessica Andrade an exciting fight, you're going to sleep. Mm-hmm. So the only way to fight her and win is to outclass her and make this boring. Now that nobody wants to do that, but how does Jessica Andrade get things going, man? I don't have a fight in my mind lined up that would make the world clamor to see her fight either Warrley or Shevchenko right off the jump. I think she needs to go get maybe 1-2 more where then she's almost undeniable, because it's really going to be the only way in which Jessica Andrade gets the championship is when she's undeniable. Other than that, I don't know. What do you think?
I completely disagree with you, man. I think she is currently undeniable. If you look at the women's strawweight rankings, for whatever reason, Amanda Lemos is ranked at number 3, Andrade number 4, even though Andrade just submitted her, right? So theoretically, she should be top 3 in that weight class. She already has a win over Rose Namajunas. I think that she should be next fighting for the championship against Warrley. Right, I think that it legitimately should be Andrade. Who else is it going to be? You're going to Esparza again? Who's it going to be? Right. So that's the fight to make in the strawweight division. If we're looking at the flyweight division, well, yeah, Alexa Grasso, she's going to get the next shot against Valentina Shevchenko. Well, Andrade just beat Lauren Murphy, so then you have Lauren Murphy and Alexa Grasso are both number 4 in the flyweight division right now. So then if that means Andrade is number 4, well, you already beat Caitlin Chikagian. There's 3 fighters. Manon Fiorot, who should probably, I forgot about that one. Manon Fiorot should definitely get a title shot because she's the freshest blood there. But that's next in the queue is Jessica Andrade, right? Or maybe you say Fiorot versus Andrade, title eliminator, and then whoever wins gets to the champion. Either way, the point that I'm making here, bro, is it's more or less at this point, how can you not mention her name in title contention?
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you, Derek. What my point is, I think the fandom hasn't realized that Jessica Andrade is undeniable yet. Us, we see it. I know Jessica Andrade is right there knocking on the door, ready to beat it down. But I think a lot of other people are clamoring to see Tyler Santos and Aaron Blanchfield and Manon Fiorot, all these other names, and that's just one weight class. I agree with you. In the straw weight, it's a little harder because you don't want to see Carla Esparza fight for it. You already beat Amanda Lemos. Namajunas, kind of everybody's still clamoring to see Thug Rose fight no matter what. It's she's the eye of it, at least as far as the casuals. We don't really want to see that. I'm always down for a Thug Rose fight. I won't lie to you. But do I want to see her fight again for the championship Whaley one more time? No, not really. So in there, I still think it's a little hard because you get lost in the shuffle of people who don't really know any of these other fighters. Or they have, and they're like, okay, I know Carla Esparza, or I know Thug Rose, but I don't know who Jessica Andrade is or how to say it. So I think that's where she gets lost in the minutia, if you will, and that's kind of what's making it hard for her to really fight for these championships.
I think Jessica Andrade is going to be a champion in 2023. All right, mark my words, people. That's all that I got for you on that one. Fantastic performance. And now to a super quick one, brother. I mean, bro, you got to feel if you're the Bear Drew, because he is the same through and through, regardless who he fights, win or lose. He's going to do his move around the octagon where he stares you down. He's going to be nose to nose with you. The thing is, man, Johnny Walker might be a playful, goofy, charismatic guy, but he said it in the post-fight interview. He says, I don't give a fuck. I will beat everybody. I will be double champion like Daniel Cormier. I'm the guy. So when you held that self-belief, even though the results haven't gone the way that you want, and you know, he said it in the pre-show, bro. He says, Paul Craig just needs to blink wrong once and I can knock him out. Well, he went in, it looked like he was going in on the single and then trying to tree top him or whatever you call it, where you lift the leg up and you off balance him to get the takedown, but didn't realize, oh yeah, this dude's 6'6" with like an 80+ inch reach and he could still hit me even when I have him here. Even more so because both of my hands are caught on his leg. So I have no way to defend myself. First shot, boom. Johnny Walker missed with the second one, couple lead-up shots, and it was all over from there. Two questions. One, Paul Craig, are we realizing? I mean, listen, if you can pull guard and you can get to your spots, you're as dangerous as they come. But there's now a little bit of a gap in between actually being able to accomplish that position, and that's going to be problematic for you being a top 10 fighter. So let's start with there. I mean, what do you think about that?
What's crazy and what just hit my mind is it's wild that Paul Craig has made it as successful in this division as he is when he's basically a Chase Hooper. And no disrespect to either Chase Hooper or Paul Craig, but you're so good at the ground game and you're such a technician at one sport and one aspect of it. But you basically your stand up is null and void. Like you don't really, it's not existent to a level that the rest of the division is. So how did you make it this far to be fighting a guy like Johnny Walker, who, like you said, Derek, hit you once, put you to sleep, and your hands weren't even up at your head? You were trying to, like you said, tree trunk a dude who's 6'6". Like, this isn't the smartest way to go about what he did, and get cracked on like that with that kind of power, man. It doesn't bode well for Paul Craig.
Yeah, it's tough, though, because if he would have got the takedown, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be like, oh, Paul Craig, you're a genius, right?
But it's that submission aspect. The same thing with the Chase Hooper and that. If you can get him to the ground, game over.
Yeah.
But
how do you do it, right? Johnny Walker, though, I just thought that I feel like if you came into this with an unbiased perspective, you can see from 100 miles away, this is not the best matchup for Paul Craig. This is actually a very, very bad matchup because it's not like Johnny Walker can't do jiu-jitsu. It's not like he has no ground game. If he had no ground game, it'd be different. But it's like if he does get to the ground, he still can fend off a lot of these issues. Either way, Johnny Walker immediately back into the top 10. So when we take a very, very quick peek at what the top 10 is looking like in the light heavyweight division, which is clearly up for grabs at this point, right? I mean, we're looking like we got some problems on our hands here, man. I would love to see a Ryan Spann, Johnny Walker. Let's line that one up. Ryan Spann's training now, right? You still got, look, Jamahal Hill goes from number 7 to champion. Isn't that a beautiful story right there? You got a lot of fun fights for this dude because you got a lot of people in the old guard. You got Magomed Ankalaev, who should probably be in that title mix still there. Jan Blachowicz, Rakic when he gets healthy, Krylov still. Man, we got a lot of fun fights here. Can Johnny Walker, does he have the whatever you want to call it, the oomph, you know what I'm saying, to really make a run here in this light heavyweight division, which is the most open it has ever been in the last legitimately like 10 plus years?
100%, man, especially if we see the Johnny Walker that we saw perform last night or Saturday night, where he was reading, he was calculated, he was patient, and he sees his openings and he still is a dog enough to risk it and take his shots. Mm-hmm. Johnny Walker is going to be a dangerous animal, man. And I think so. I mean, he's going to have some hard fights. Like you said, Rakic, Ankalaev, there's a lot. Even Krylov's a difficult fight. We'll see how Smith performs after the whole weight debacle and all that stuff. But he's still a dog. Smith can still perform, man. So it's going to be a lot of fun in the 205-pound weight class division coming forward.
And what does it mean to you, man? Literally through like Jones and Cormier, right? They held the division down for 10 years. In like a year and a half, there's been like 4 new champions, you know what I'm saying, in the light heavyweight division. Like, I just wonder who's going to be the next guy who holds it down. It could be Jamahal Hill. It could be Yuri Prochazka, right? It could be one of those guys. But it's such a stacked division right now. It's going to be fun to talk about. But, all right, man. That is your main card breakdown for UFC 283, man. What a hell of a show right there. But really quickly, let's talk about a couple of these prelims, man, because there's some stuff to talk about. And the first thing that we need to talk about before anything else is, listen, it makes me sad because we get hyped up for it every single time. Hyped up, hyped up, hyped up. Legend is fighting here. He's retiring. He's going to go out with a bang, and it's going to be fantastic in Brazil. And Shogun gets knocked out into retirement in Brazil in front of the home crowd, lays down the gloves. Happy retirement to a legend like Shogun Rua, Mauricio Shogun Rua. But Ihor Potieria, when you hit a dance move on a legend and you do all your, you know what I'm saying? You have to compartmentalize. On one hand, you finally got your first win in the UFC. That's fantastic. You did it in hostile enemy territory. You deserve the right to be able to celebrate. But it's just like, read the room, homie. You know what I mean? You did that. Now you're heel. Now everyone's like on Twitter, like, I fucking hate Ihor Potieria. Like, you know, this guy sucks. And it's just like, that's maybe not the mark that you wanted to make. However, you know what they say, AJ, no such thing as bad publicity, right? So what did you make of this situation?
Man, rough to do it to a legend like Shogun, but you got to shoot your shot and you got to get your name out there. I like Ihor, man. This is a very rough fight for Shogun from the jump, and rough to do it to him in enemy territory. But I think if you're Potieria and you decide to do that dance, you also have to embrace that beer shower that's coming your way, brother, because you just walk out hands up like saying, come on, let it rain, because you know you were a heel now after doing that to one of the greatest ever do it.
Yeah.
Interesting route to see where he goes. I wonder if he's going to embrace that heel or if he's going to turn tail. We'll see.
Do you agree that the UFC has been built, or MMA in general, like the new guard has been built off of the backs of old legends? Do you agree that that's the truth?
Oh, 100%.
So that's the thing, man, is that it's like you can't be mad when your favorite fighter, who is a legend and way past their prime, falls into obscurity in a terrible, ruthless way. Look at Tyron Woodley getting knocked out by Jake Paul, right? Ben Askren. Look at, you know what I'm saying? Anderson Silva losing to Jake Paul. It's just like, and Jake Paul is just out here retiring legends back and forth in the boxing ring, man. Either way, listen, shout out to Shogun Rua, but listen, you know, happy retirement. All right, man. We need to talk about it. My sleeper, Brunno Ferreira versus Gregory Rodrigues. My lord, Gregory Rodrigues, once again, what did I say? I was like, listen, no, this is the guy that, he has that obscure random loss where he got knocked out by Jordan Williams, not even a real middleweight, right? Full circle, 8 days notice, this dude, Brunno Ferreira, comes in, who is a power bar, who is a dude who is all bombs, which I said, that's why this is a sleeper, violence, right? This is a situation of RoboCop, and this is the problem that I've had with him before, right? You're such a credentialed jiu-jitsu specimen. You can control the fight in so many different ways, but you get used to the, I am anointed by God himself with a iron chin and can withstand anything. I'm RoboCop. I walk forward, I smash. You walked forward, and he just got touched. It didn't even look crazy, bro. It was just pinpoint precision. Dink on the chin, and he flash knocked him out, man. In a fight that Gregory Rodrigues was winning, so it's just tough, man. What did you make of this?
That's why it's called a button, Derek. You hit him right on the chin, right on the right spot. You move that jaw a little bit forward, and night. And that's how it goes, man. I agree. Gregory Rodrigues was winning that fight, and hell of a win for Ferreira, man. Because this is that's how you come into the UFC. Yeah, you need to beat another Brazilian, but you're having a hell of a party after.
Speaking of a hell of a performance in the debut, man, Bonfim brothers. Where have I been? Where have I been, bro? Because, listen, I bet against both of them. I said, Ismael, yeah, no way he's going to win against T-Rex. Boy, was I wrong. Oh, Gabriel? Yeah, no. I think Munir Lazez, the elder statesman, I think he's going to put it on you. Boy, was I wrong. Let's talk about Ismael first, man. What he did to Terrance McKinney wasn't unfounded. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything that I think was super unexpected, simply because we've come to the realization Terrance McKinney got to get you out of there quick. And if he can't get you out of there quick, a lot of those energy reserves get zapped down super fast. My problem was he looked not himself. And I don't know if that's just me or if that was Ismael, right? Because he was winging big punches. There didn't seem to be straight shots. Everything was hooked and rounded and all that. And Ismael just stood in front of him, flying switch knee, boom, on the button, slept him. Some would argue knockout of the year, and it's only January. What do you think?
I was curious if it was a relocation thing, or like how long T-Rex spent in South America adjusting to everything, because he looked flat. You're right. He didn't look himself. He wasn't popping jabs straight out. Nothing down the pipe was there. Nothing. He wasn't bouncy. He wasn't flashy and explosive like he normally is. He seemed to be reading and kind of on his heels. And man, having to eat a knee with no mouthpiece in, geez, that's rough. It was a rough one, man. That was a rough loss for T-Rex.
But on a good note, because you're absolutely right about that, you didn't get flatlined here. You got flatlined on the carotid. So, I mean, maybe he did you a favor with the switch knee. If it was just a regular flying knee up the pipe, it could have been a different story. Because you'd be at the dentist right now. But, yeah, that was a
he's probably still at the dentist.
Yeah, probably. But that was very impressive. And that also won him Performance of the Night honors right there. Let's talk about the other Bonfim brother, Gabriel Bonfim over Munir Lazez. He hit him with the... what did homeboy hit Groovy Lando Venata with? I don't remember who submitted him, but basically, I think it was Lando Venata. Either way, he hit him with the mounted guillotine where Lazez's pants fell down. So you have two choices. Either put my hands down to pull my pants up, or address the hands and get out of this choke. And he... tap. That was it. It was ugly. It was quick. But I'll tell you, Bonfim, who's a very, very good jiu-jitsu guy, he looked scary dangerous with those hands, man. I was like, yo, he looks like he's about... And Lazez is a dude who cracks. So it's like, yo, to do it against him, that was impressive. And he's big as hell. I mean, you couldn't have made a better debut. So I think we have a little bit of a rivalry on our hands, man. Maybe unofficial, but we have the Bash Bros and the Bonfim Bros. Who is destined for more success? What do you think?
Man, to hit a mounted guillotine on like you said, Derek, a statesman of Munir Lazez in less than a minute. I think it has to be the Bonfim brothers, especially because I was doubting Ismael too. So I feel like I have a little bit of get back for the Bonfim brothers, dude, because these dudes are for real. So I kind of hope that'd be cool to see like them both brothers go at it, but we'll see. I don't know if the weight classes are correct, 170, 155, but we'll see. Well,
I will just say that we have seen time and time again that those types of things, once again, storybook endings, they don't really work in the UFC. Let's not forget about our favorite pair of brothers, the Dawkins bros, right? It started off hot, and then things got real weird real quick. So fantastic start, but we got to keep it up. I need to talk to you, AJ, about one individual in particular who I told you was the truth, and I told you this guy is the guy he was fighting was a placeholder, and this is the dude who really deserves to be in the top 15 of both of his divisions. Jailton Almeida made Shamil Abdurakhimov look like child's play, and this is no disrespect to Shamil because he's a fantastic fighter, but Jailton Almeida, his double legs are just ridiculous the way he explodes into him. Just picks you up, drops you down, literally holds you in midair, puts all of his weight into you, and then he just does smash style jiu-jitsu to finish you. Or he'll go some ground and pound, either way. Do you understand what I was saying now? Why I had so much conviction talking about Jailton Almeida? This dude is the truth. He can be a two-division champion right here, bro. Legitimately, man. I think so. But, were you impressed with Jailton? Do you think he's too one-dimensional? I mean, what do you think?
No, man, always been impressed with Jailton Almeida, Derek, and even you made him your rookie of the year as 2022, but I think he's going to have you even more impressed with 2023.
That's right.
When this dude's doing this kind of things to fighters like Shamil Abdurakhimov, man, even they were talking about, I forget if it was Bully B on Rogan or if it was another fighter talking about it, where they go and they circle their picks on Instagram, and Shamil is such a savage that he's watching who all the other fighters pick, and you go up
I'm going to pause I'm going to pause you because you're so close. I just want to make sure accurate information. It wasn't Shamil. That was Blagoy Ivanov.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
that was Blagoy.
It was Blagoy. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, okay. So take away all I said. Shamil Abdurakhimov is still a very dangerous fighter nonetheless. And he's been in the top, rank of his division for a long time, and as well as a staple in the heavyweight division. I don't know if he's ranked right now, but he has always been a staple in the heavyweight division. And to have Jailton Almeida come in and do things like that and really put your own style of game to effect speaks levels.
And Shamil was number 14 in the division, right? He's always been kind of like in that 8 to 15 type range. And I'll just say Jailton Almeida just came in and just smashed a ranked fighter in the heavyweight division. He needs to only be fighting top 10 fighters at this point on from both divisions. So that's another player right there in that light heavyweight division we're talking about for Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker versus Jailton Almeida. Who wins that one? I'm sorry, Johnny, but I got to give that to Jailton. Because this dude, if you could pick up a 265-pound man and make him look like a child, and do it multiple times. It wasn't just one time, right? You know what I mean? Do it multiple times. Jesus Christ. All right. Let's talk about this one, man. This is an interesting one. Talking about a fighter who kept their rank, defended their rank, but it was not pretty at first. And this was an ugly stylistic matchup. Zara Farron versus Josiane Nunez. Bro, mini Mike Tyson versus, honestly, someone who looked like a Klitschko in there. And Zara Farron, man, long popping that jab, just hitting him from a million miles away. And Josiane Nunez did everything that she could in her power to just withstand all that. My thing is, every time you hit him, you're like, literally, you're throwing him up there, man. Yeah, you're getting a little extra torque on it, but it's not the same as if it was a standard, height differential. Do you think Nunez would benefit if she just spent more time going to the body against these behemoth titans that she's fighting? What do you think?
100%, man. It's crazy that they were both in the same weight class with that kind of size differential. Because as you saw, and this was going around Twitter, one of them, Josiane Nunez, was about hip height to Farm, because Farm is a massive beast. But Josiane stood in there with the shots, man, stood in there with the power. And you're right. It's interesting to see because you want to touch the chin. Like we said before, it's a button. You want to hit that button, but also there's a button in the breadbasket. So it's interesting that Josiane Nunez doesn't go to the body because it's a straight shot right there. We'll see if she picks that up a little bit more because there's a lot of talk about it, even from the broadcast tables as well as the couch from Twitter.
Absolutely, and I will say the height differential, 5'8" was Zara Farron, 5'2" is Josiane Nunez. So believe in yourself, short people of the world. You can go and kick some ass. All right, man. And I think really there's not much else to talk about. Cody Stamann got a big win in enemy territory against a young up-and-comer. That was fantastic. Nicolas Dalby, I called that one, man. I said Dalby, I think that he still has what it takes to get the dubs, and he got it against Warrley Alves. Very impressive. Daniel Marcos, very, very impressive TKO in his debut against Simon Oliveira. And then lastly, I guess literally the only one to talk about, Thiago Moises versus Costa, man. Moises, it's just why did this fight take place was my first question. Moises is a dude who literally at one point they're like, okay, this is your next test for a Islam Makhachev. And then you go feed him to a debutant. Oh, man. Even though he had a lot of experience in the regional scene, I didn't think that was worth it. What'd you think?
It was was it Kutaladze? Kutaladze got injured. I think that's why Costa was a placeholder.
Notice,
yeah, because it looked like it, man. And Thiago Moises, I think that's the only reason they put him in there. And you got to take what you can with your Costa.
You're right, but I'm just like,
which
all
is
guys,
a rear naked submission in round 2 from Thiago Moises. But hey, you got a contract, brother.
Nobody else could raise their hand and be like, hey, give me the fight. Like, no, it had to. Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, folks. With that being said, that is your prelim Pourover. And now, let's jump into a little bit of a rankings review, man. We haven't done it in too long in terms of like our legitimate rankings, so I want to take a dive. All right, my friend. So I think that the most apt place that we could jump into in terms of a rankings review right now, simply because there's going to be a lot of up in the air with this division, is the women's flyweight division, believe it or not, even though, that wasn't a lot of action here tonight. So I wanted to talk about it, man. And these are rankings that clearly do need to get updated and whatnot, but we're going to have a little bit of action here soon. And what I wanted to chat about specifically was really the top 5-ish, I suppose. Really, it's the top 10 because there's one name right here that I'm clicking on, Erin Blanchfield. We both have at number 9. She is number 10 in the UFC consensus rankings. rankings, but a lot of people think that this is going to be the next champion in the women's flyweight division. However, you got Shevchenko, you've got Fiorot, you've got Santos, you've got Grasso, Andrade, and Blanchfield. Really, those are your main players for the title right now. Of all the people that I just named, who do you think has the best, most realistic shot of becoming a champion in this division?
Honestly, man, I think it's Taila Santos, but we're going to have to see what she does in her fight against Erin Blanchfield, because that's another a black horse in the division, or dark horse in the division right there. Erin Blanchfield is a dog, and she is very, very talented. But if Taila Santos can get past that, the shakeup happens with Fiorot and Grasso and that whole kind of thing, then I think Taila Santos really gets her shot. Now, that being said, she's had a little bit of time off. We haven't really seen how she performs. So this Blanchfield fight is going to be a huge indicator of what goes down. If Blanchfield gets one on Santos, I think we're in more of a mix-up situation. I don't think Blanchfield necessarily has the weight in the eyes of the UFC brass in order to make the moves Taila Santos can. But if Blanchfield wins, gets one on Fiorot or gets one on Grasso, then she's in the mix-up right there. Of those, who do you think has the best shot, Derek?
I think it has to, and this is the thing, we're discounting a Manon Fiorot, man. We really are. We really are. But I think it's between Blanchfield and Fiorot. I really do like me a Taila Santos right here. I think she is very, very talented and is only going to get better with this experience that she's been getting recently. But I think Blanchfield has the game plan to be able to kind of nullify, her strategy right here, especially because Santos does have good top control, to good jiu-jitsu through and through. Blanchfield can just hold you down. And if you can do that for 3 rounds, I mean, you're moving on to that number 1 spot, number 2 spot. But Manon Fiorot, I think she can avoid the takedown and she can keep you at bay in terms of the striking all day long. So it's going to be really interesting. But I guess this is the real question, man. At the end of the day, has there ever been a time in her reign, her title reign as champion, Bullet, Valentina Shevchenko, my favorite fighter, has there ever been a time where it's at least felt like the narrative that she was vulnerable in terms of holding her championship?
And I mean, except for who was it that actually got her? Was it Viviane Araujo or
Taila Santos?
Was it Taila Santos that won a round?
Oh no, that was Jennifer Maia.
Jennifer Maia.
Yeah.
I think that's the only time, and even then, I don't. And I said one around. That was a mistake. She got a takedown, and that's the most anybody has ever done.
Well, she did win that first round.
Was it a round?
To be fair, she won. Jennifer Maia won the first round. Then Shevchenko dominated her for the rest. Taila Santos is the one who put her in the most trouble, man. She took her back. A lot of people thought Santos won the fight, so that's where I'm saying, like, at this point, Shevchenko needs another dominant performance for people to then remember. Oh yeah, she's the truth.
True. Yeah. I forgot about the Taila Santos fight, because other than that, though, Shev's been on a run of the best. So it's hard to say, and especially with her and the whole Amanda Nunes situation, those are the only real times that Shevchenko has seen some serious opposition. We'll see what Blanchfield can do, man.
That's right. All right, folks. With that being said, here is your friendly reminder. Give my man AJ a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. Go hit up the Bloody Water Podcast TikTok if you're into that type of thing. If you like a couple of clips and stuff like that, we do post things there. And then for me, I actually fell off this weekend because the fights were so good. I decided to put my phone away and just simply watch and enjoy the spectacle at hand. I was like, I don't want to distract myself with all of the tweets. But in the future, generally speaking, you can hit me up on Twitter, twitter.com/D496_, and I'm live tweeting during the fight so you can get my thoughts and opinions. But this is the important thing right here. Remember, folks, next week, no UFC. Already, another very quick break, but we're coming back to some madness because the fight after that, that's Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak rebooked. And we're in for a lot of really fun fights after that. Guess what, AJ? The fight after that one, let me make sure I'm correct, 2 bangers in a row. Makhachev versus Volkanovski in Perth, and then you got Corey Sandhagen versus Chito Vera in the UFC Apex. It's going to be a stacked couple of weeks after that. You got any words for the people before we get out of here?
Man, it's going to be a fun one. This was a fun week, folks. You can see that Derek was the winner of the week, but you better bet that I'm coming back stronger than ever. We have, like Derek said, we have a week off, but that gives us more time to prep, more time to get ready for the big boys fighting, man. We got the Black Beast coming up. It's going to be an interesting one. Like Derek said, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following along. Go hit us up in the comments. Tell us anything that you're winning money, whether we can improve on X, Y, and Z. And always make sure you hit me up, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. We're going to be there Mondays through Wednesdays, breaking things down, having a lot of fun. You want some in-depth info, go hit us up. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know how much money you made this weekend as well, because I know a lot of you did. And whether you took my picks or whether you took Derick's picks, some green was in your pocket regardless. So let us know what you think.
And I just want to give you a friendly reminder, folks, if you forgot what we're fighting for, you see those shiny belts right there in the back? That's what we fighting for. I got 2. I'm trying to make it number 3. I want 3 belts. I want to get it to the point where I don't got a background. It's all belts draped down behind me. But I got some competition in my man here, AJ. Just to let you guys know, right now, currently as it stands, only 2 events through. I'm at a 70% accuracy rating. My man AJ is at a 60% accuracy rating. We told you, we ended the year 60% plus. That is the minimum for us. At minimum, that's where we're trying to stand. So you already know what time it is, folks. Subscribe if you haven't yet. You know what time it is. Enjoy your week off, folks. We'll try to see if we can squeeze in a little bit of content on the week off. But, listen, take some solace, come back, energized, ready for some fights. That's it for us. And until next time, folks, peace.